Please welcome Nattass MEP. Good afternoon, conference. As an MEP in 2004, I joined the EU Transport Committee, where they discuss such important things as how much wine there is in a wine gun. They formed a subcommittee to unravel that particular problem, which actually had to report to the subsequent committee. So you can see the level of intelligence that we have from these people who think they're in charge of directing how we run our affairs in this country. And I can tell you we can do without them. There's no question that we can. There's no question. I'm now chairman of the UKIP Transport Committee, and this committee is making policies for a UKIP government. The party chairman has asked me to give you a glimpse of some of the things that they're currently discussing, some of which haven't been ratified yet by the NEC, but we certainly hope they will be. And I'll give you 4 examples. The first one is toll roads. UKIP wish to scrap all toll roads. They're bad for traffic management. The Highways Authority should be in a position to tell people how to travel on the roads. The roads should be free to all, rich and poor. This isn't the case at the moment. In the West Midlands, for example, we have the M6 toll, which is in the hands of an Australian company, but that isn't their fault, and it's not used. Basically, very underused, which means that people are still using the M6. It was designed as a relief road, but is totally underutilised because people will not pay the toll, quite simply. So we have major problems on the M6, and the Highway Authority have to therefore spend as much money on the M6 as it costs to create the M6 toll. That's the level of expenditure that's been wasted on that project. So we had a protest day on the 18th of March, which was received very well and made great media impact. We were very pleased with the amount of newspaper space and TV space that we got, and that hasn't finished because the repercussions are still there. The EU, on the other hand, are taking the other direction. They've decided that their very expensive Galileo satellite is going to monitor you in your car through a black box. It sounds like tomorrow's world, but the Galileo satellite is already there and being improved, and they're now talking about how much we should be asked to pay on the various roads, motorways, A roads, B roads, other roads. And this, as I say, will be monitored through your car, so they'll know where you are. Well, if you throw away your black box, you'll probably have to go to a Bulgarian jail, so good luck. So we have the problem of the EU telling us what to do, and I can tell you, when the UK leave the EU, we won't be under that authority. The second item that UKIP have been discussing in committee is Heathrow and the proposed third runway, which UKIP is opposed to and completely against. We're also against expansion at Stansted, so we can't just say we're against everything, so we had to look for a reasonable and viable alternative, and we found it. We believe that further expansion for London in terms of aircraft should actually be at Manston Airport in Kent. Now, the reason for this is that actually the site at Manston, I have had meetings with the chief executive, is actually as big as Stansted, and the runway is slightly longer. And it has a high-speed rail link straight into London, which is half a mile away. So it is actually a viable alternative. But the best point about this particular airport is the local people will welcome it because they need local employment. And as we've already heard, UKIP in government will listen to local people. And the local people around there at the present time are saying, good, we need this airport here, it's good for expansion and development of our jobs. Next, HS2 is being discussed, and UKIP are not against high-speed rail in principle, but are completely against HS2 because it is an unnecessary, completely unnecessary EU vanity project which will cost 36 billion at the moment, but by the time it's finished I think we'll be doubling that sort of figure. And there's various proposals on the table for increasing compensation to people further away, which will, as you can understand, increase that considerably. I've written to the UK Transport Select Committee, who are actually visiting Brussels next week, trying to open their eyes to the fact that this is in fact the EU's TEN-T project. Look it up on your laptops. TEN-T project, which is about railway lines and connections throughout the whole of Europe. And the EU is very keen on this particular project. It's a high-speed project, and they've given £100 million to Turkey to implement it there. And they're not even in the EU yet, but it sounded like a good idea to waste some money on that, I expect. And they're also going to be giving them soft loans to help them along. And they've also given money to Italy to assist them in providing their high-speed project. However, whilst the UK isn't being offered any money by the EU, they are being put under pressure to follow the EU plans. And again, I can tell you that UKIP in government will have no obligation at all to follow EU plans. So we believe HS2 is a nonsense. It saves very little time on getting down to London from the West Midlands. In fact, we believe it will drain the West Midlands of people who will commute to London to work, which isn't at all what we want. We want more business in the West Midlands, not people commuting down to London. Finally, I want to just mention the Brit Disc to you, which has already been touched upon. The Condemned government have taken over one of our policies, which was advertised in our last manifesto, and it was called the Brit Disc. And it's an intention to tax foreign lorries entering the country, effectively selling them tax discs on the same principle that they do in countries like Switzerland, where anybody coming to the border has to buy a disc. On the committee, we believe actually it should apply to all vehicles, not just to lorries and trucks, but also to domestic vehicles that come into the country. Everybody coming into our country should pay a fair share for using the roads without having to pay money on toll roads. Now, as I've said, this government has taken over that particular policy, but it isn't implemented yet, and I just wonder how they'll get it past the EU. Because I actually don't think they will. I mean, it sounds like a good idea, but I don't think the EU, the other 26 states, will think it's such an amazing idea when they unveil it to them. But again, I would say to you, in government, UKIP would have no such problem. UKIP will not kowtow to the EU or any other state on domestic policy. And I put it to you, conference, that we are in fact better off out. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mike.